Welcome back, fellow Illumineers, to be our guest. Haha! We're back! In that this is our 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth episode, so back is probably a bit of a stretch at this point. Hopefully this isn't the first one you're watching in 3 months. But if it is, welcome back. An odd time to jump in, but here we
Thanks for
are.
joining us.
I am Heath, and I'm joined here today by the illustrious Stephen Gettle. Stephen, say hi to the people. Let them know where they can find you.
I'm Stephen Gettle. You can find me on Twitter at Steve at sgettle, and you can find me on Blue Sky at sgettle. And you can also find my musings at Lorcana History on both Twitter and Blue Sky.
I've been having a lot of fun with that. I gotta admit, I guess that's not really the right choice of words, but there was a bunch of stuff that I did not know until you brought it up. So I've been appreciating seeing the daily insights from Lorcana history.
It is fun to look back. It is also sometimes creepy because I'm looking back at a lot of stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, a lot of this stuff is not interesting, and a lot of this stuff is kind of not appropriate. But there's lots of
I
gems out
mean,
there.
I'm looking forward to next year, the anniversary of Broomgate.
Yes, yes. Lots of interesting stuff is happening this year. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And every year
honestly,
I'll have, yeah.
no, go ahead.
Uh, every year I'll have more to choose from, which is great. I've
Yes.
started posting occasionally more than one thing a day because sometimes lots of stuff happens in a day,
Yep.
and sometimes hardly anything happens in a day, like this day last year.
So what was today's? Because sometimes I get like 2 days ago on the same day, and then I see today's
Ah,
like a little later in the day. So what was today's?
today's
Today
was
is February 28th specifically.
yes, day after my birthday.
There you
Uh,
go.
Today's was Archazia Studio releases an interview with Ryan Miller at the Cannes Game Festival, which it's funny that the Cannes Game Festival is happening again right now.
Yeah.
Like it's usually things that happen annually aren't exactly like on the same days, but it
Yeah.
seems to be happening like on the same days. So next year I get to have 2 different years of Cannes Game Festival stuff. It will really mix people up.
There you go. You
Which
get
one
to
was
see
this
the
at?
progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, an interview with Ryan Miller is never that boring. He undersold that one a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But it is partly in French, and it is talking about
Good.
stuff from a year ago, which is interesting. It's interesting, but you have to dig through it. Sometimes you get like a nice short gem that's easy to read on your phone or on your computer, and then you're done. But this, you have to like click a link and scrub a video.
Yeah. Proud Canadian, you're not happy to read it in French? Come on now.
I'm happy to read it in French. I mean, my pronunciation was très
Nous
bon.
parlons un petit peu de français. Seulement un petit peu. Um,
Uh,
today's French lesson on Be Our Guest. I mean, that's appropriate, right? French. So speaking of your birthday, I heard from a little birdie that you got a pretty special birthday present.
Yeah, it's incredible. I don't know how to make this not backwards. But
No,
look at
I mean,
this.
that's fantastic. I mean, Kendall really hits it out of the park, doesn't he?
The glints are awesome. The stacks of money are awesome. I love Uncle Scrooge.
Yeah,
And the card he chose to put this on, it's perfect.
yeah.
Perfect.
Even
Oh
his
man,
signature is
I
pretty
love that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Stephen. If you'd love to wish Stephen a
Thank you.
happy birthday in the comments, that would be fantastic. But without further ado, let's dive into it. As much as you're here for us to regale you about birthdays, let's talk draft because no one else is. We're here today to do our draft set review for Stephen. How's the pronunciation again?
What?
Arcasia's?
My Acacia Island. Yes, I thought you were gonna
Arcasia's
ask me
Island.
how do I
Uh,
pronounce my name?
Yes,
That's
Mr.
easy.
Stephen Gettle. Yes, Arcasia's Island. Specifically this time, and again, assuming this isn't the first time you've seen this, we're going to go by ink count so that you can kind of try and develop your curve as we go. So we're talking about 5 drops today, which should still be plentiful in your deck, but maybe not as many as 3 or 4 drops. So we got to be a little bit more particular today, but I think we're going to have a bountiful number of cards to choose from to fill out our decks. So let's dive right into it and see some cool cards. And we start with like the coolest of all. Let's start right away. King Stefan, New Father. 5 cost
Okay.
inkable, 4/7, 1 lore, vanilla.
I mean, it's funny that this is King Stefan and I'm Steven. So that's kind of cool.
That
That
is
is
cool.
totally random that I got to do 5 drops. So that's really cool. And also, may I start by saying that this is a really great idea to do it by cost because we're going to get to compare 5 cost 4/4s to 5 cost 4/5s to 5 cost 5/5s or whatever and
Yep,
have like a much easier time saying, oh, why is this one a B? Why is this one a C?
I
Speaking
think you're right.
of,
Yeah.
this is probably where you want to insert where the A's, B's, C's come in.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So
So if I
hit
haven't
it.
already, let me say, Stephen, you can take over for now. I usually find that like half of the time I remember to insert like a segue point, and the other half I don't. So without further ado, before we call our first one, here's Past Heath telling you how we rate these cards. So we're gonna do A, B, C, D, F as our rating system. A is first pickable and happy to first pick it. This is a bomb or just really effective card. There are commons that are absolutely within this territory, but ultimately it's something that you're just like, you open your pack, you look at it, and you're like, yeah, this is the one for me. Love this one. Happy to have it, right? That's an A. B is, I'll first pick it, but I'm not going to be absolutely thrilled about it, but I'm definitely very happy to pick this up and have this in my deck. I will always play this card, and I'm going to kind of be picking it in the first half of the pack. C's are your like journeyman staples of your deck. You're almost always going to play these cards unless you've drafted so well that your deck's just crammed full of A's and B's. So you're always going to play these cards, or almost always. But you're not exactly thrilled to be taking them. You're just like, okay, these are cards that are going to fill out my deck, right? These are the cards that you want kind of in the middle to last half of the pack, and they're solid. D is, ideally, I'd like to not have this in my deck. I will play this, but I'd like to not have this in my deck if I can help it, and I'm certainly not wasting any early picks on it. These are cards that you are going to be picking up because it's the only cards left in the last third of the pack, right? Ideally, these should all be inkable. If they're that bad, you should not be taking an uninkable card that's that quality, right? And then F is don't play it. And usually that's because they're uninkable and they're like D quality and uninkable. But it could also, there could be some inkable cards that I rate as S just because they're so bad. And in that case, obviously, if they're inkable and you need ink, you're going to play them in your deck because you're only eliminating 8 cards that you drafted. So if you have, 8 uninkables that are Fs, you're going to play an F that's inkable, of course, right? But you should try never to have this anywhere near your deck, and you should only be using it as ink if I've got an inkable F in there. And we're back.
We're
And I
back.
chuckled the whole time. All right. Thank you, Steven.
Hey,
You're awesome.
let's keep the chuckling going. You're not done chuckling, that is for sure. So let's talk about King Stefan. I love that we're starting this one because it's vanilla and it might be controversial because I'm putting it at a B.
Yeah, I mean, tell me why you put it at a B, because I don't think I'm far off from you.
Oh, right on. Okay, so looking at the set, looking at commons and uncommons, there is lots of characters with willpower 4 or less. And this
Yep.
is going to take all of those out and survive. This is going to survive a lot of other characters that have greater strength.
Yep.
So this is going to be a 2-for-1 for you and give you a versatility of being able to take out a bunch of your opponent's board.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you in everything that you said, other than the B, and I'll give one small reason why. So the vanilla stat line that we normally see at 5 cost is 5/6. And I've said this before, and you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, which is there's a lot of 4 willpower. Specifically, there isn't a lot of 5, right? So that 5 strength isn't normally that beneficial. 4 would be just as good, and sometimes that extra willpower can make a huge difference. And you said the magic words 2 for 1, right? That's what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for that card advantage in a set, especially in a set that has next to no removal in it.
Mm.
We'll have probably belabored that point to this point in previous videos. There's almost no removal, so you've got to be looking at how can I be efficient with my challenges. So a body like this is perfect for that. The only reason that I wouldn't rate it at a B, I'll have it at a B minus, is because there's so many good 5 drops that it's like in another set, I would rate this as a B. Um, but because there's so many great 5 drops, I'm going to be hard pressed to want to have this and draft other things. But the kind of flip side to that is if you draft this, it might free you up to draft some other ink costs and maybe not need to go all in at 5 drop. There's some amazing 4 drops you'll have already seen from our last video, right? So yeah, B minus, I'm happy anywhere in that spot there. And I think I would rather this than 5/6s going forward. If anyone from Ravensburger is listening, not that you haven't already designed the next 4 sets already, but
Thank you for listening, Ravensburger.
right? You're awesome. All right. Next, we've got Bolt Super Dog. So we've got 5 cost Inkable, 3/5, 2 Laura, and I already forgot that I usually like to interchange. So, Stephen, you'll be on the next one.
Oh, okay, sure.
Fifth 3. Whenever you ready this character, gain 1 lore for each other undamaged character you have in play. And probably not that useful ability of exert to banish chosen illusion character, but not unusable. There's some good illusion characters in the set. There just happens to be only 3 of them, so probably won't come up very often. But what do you think about Bolt?
I think that the shift target, of which there is 2, are okay. But I don't think you're going to be shifting this that often. The ability is okay,
Yeah.
but it's situational, and I'm not sure if you're going to win off of that ability or have a wide enough board or be able to keep it alive and undamaged. And 3/5 is okay.
Yeah.
And the final ability is, yeah, negligible. So I'd
Yep.
put this at a C, which is less than
Okay.
King Stefan.
Yeah. So I'm not far off from you there. I'm actually a little bit higher on this one. Um, Again, shift I'm not really interested in. One, because I'm not that high on the other bolts, but two, it's just card disadvantage unless you can really get a beneficial use out of it being able to exert or challenge right away. The vanilla stat line is always what I look at when I'm trying to compare is the abilities that it's got worth what I'm losing in body. The vanilla stat line is usually about a 5/5 2 lore at this cost. So the great thing is that chances are if you play a couple of characters, they're going to stay in put. So as long as Bolt isn't technically threatened, minus rush or something like that, you play this next turn. You play a character or two, even one, right? And he survives the turn. You're going to ready, and you're going to have at least one undamaged character, if maybe not another, depending on your board state, right? But the question is he surviving that turn? And after he's exerted, probably not, depending on what other threats you've got on the board, right? You'd have to have a bigger threat on board for him to stay um, available and available to ready. The banished chosen illusion character is not nothing, right? There is 3 great illusions, 2 at common and uncommon. But again, probably statistically, I don't have Knive here, so I can't tell you what the exact statistics are, but probably not statistically particularly likely. So I have him at C plus. I think he's worth taking, but yeah, not terribly excited about him.
Not going to see him that often.
No, I mean that's the thing. Super rare, right? But mid pack to last half of the pack is where I want him. All right. You want to take this one away, Steven?
Mittens. Soy Mittens. Mittens is a 5 cost sassy street cat, 4/5 with 2 lore, with the ability Bodyguard. Oh, also, he's a Storyborn ally. I'm going to get better at this. And his
Oh,
ability,
I don't
No
do that
Thanks
part.
Necessary. Once during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, your other characters with Bodyguard get +1 lore this turn.
Yeah.
A pretty interesting card. What do you think?
So I've got mittens. Where do I have mittens at? At a B plus, and ignore the last ability. Just give me a 5 drop 4/5 2 lore bodyguard, and I'm happy. This would be an A minus if it was inkable. The fact that it's uninkable,
Oh,
which isn't super relevant in draft, but is not irrelevant, right? So obviously I'd rather it be inkable than not. Because hey hey, Shimmering Skies was a A minus for me. Same exact stat line, just inkable. Yeah, I'm gonna go after other bodyguards. So the last ability is not negligible, but I'm not gonna assume that that's gonna go off, right? Because not only do I have to have bodyguards in my deck, but I have to have them, out when this is happening. So yeah, I'm just assuming that the second ability isn't happening. Give me that B plus with just the 4/5 2 lore bodyguard for 5. Love it.
I decided not to go with pluses or minus this time
Sure.
because I'm lazy. So I put this
Forget
at
nuance for Steven.
so I put
Simplicity is
this
the
at
way
a
to go.
C.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
yeah,
Talk me through it. Yeah,
a lot of the cards I'm like, this is borderline BC. A lot of the C's could be B's, a lot of the C's could be D's, a lot of D's could be C's. But I put this one at C mainly because of uninkability, mainly because those abilities didn't seem as strong as the other cards that I put at B.
yeah. Mm,
I
sure.
don't know if you're gonna want to have a lot of 5 cost uninkables in your hands, saving them up for this moment at the end of the game. Though
Yeah.
this is a bodyguard,
Yeah.
and that's a factor. But I didn't like the ability at all because once you get to 5 ink, you're not gonna necessarily want to be putting a ton of other ink in your inkwell. I don't see you
Oh,
using that
yeah.
ability that often.
Yeah.
This is one of the better ones, though. It's better than some of the other ones coming up.
Yeah. So I value Bodyguard pretty high. Like next to card draw and evasion, Bodyguard's probably my next highest priority. Just because if I've got a great ability that I want to protect another character, if I'm going more aggro and I want to protect other characters, there's times where the Bodyguard's not that relevant, but a lot of the times it can be. And when you have it on a body that's this significant, um, then I like that. I'd rather have a bigger bodyguard than the 2 lore, but it doesn't hurt. The uninkability is very relevant, right? But for me, the fact that it's 5 is okay in that um, you're going to naturally get to 5 ink pretty much every game unless you go super aggressive. So 5 I'm okay with, but I would be mulliganing this away. Even though I love to have it, I'd be mulliganing away because
Yeah,
I want to try to avoid a 5 drop uninkable in my hand for the first few turns. Once I'm at turn 4, if I draw this on turn 4, that's fine, right? If it's, dead in my hand for a turn. I just don't want it, post mull and it's got to sit in my hand for 5 turns. So
yeah.
the uninkability is relevant, but I'm okay at 5. This is my borderline, is the 5 drop uninkable.
Lots more 5 drop unlinkables coming up.
Well, that's the point that I think you raised that is really valid is, I just love this stat line, but in this is a powerful set. So what once was a great stat line might not be enough to crack at this set. So yeah, that's a good point. All right. Fix It Felix Jr. Pint-sized hero, 5 cost inkable, 4/4 2 lore. I'm too lazy to read the rest. Whenever you return a racer card from your discard to your hand, you may ready chosen racer character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. What say you, sir?
D, my friend. D.
Yep.
D. The part after let's get to work might as well say flavor text. Uh,
Yes.
I, the racers that you're gonna find that wait, this is the one whenever you return a racer like I gotta read this again. Whenever you return a racer character card from your discard of your hand, which there's only one card in the set that I think will let you do that. That's
Yes.
Calhoun.
Yep.
So come
Yeah.
on. That is
This is
not a
terrible.
useful ability. Two lure is
Yeah.
great, but a 4/4 is way below curve for the rest of the
Yeah.
set. The only good thing about this is that it's inkable, and that's what keeps it from being an F.
That's exactly it. So this is why I have it in D plus. So I know you're not doing the nuance, and that's perfectly fine, right? So I got it in D plus because so again, and you've seen it, thanks to Stephen reminding me to queue it up. D's for me, most of the time I want to be inkable. I can't think of any situation where I've ever put an uninkable in D because D for me is I don't want to play it, but if I need that like 39th, 40th card, I'll pop in a D. So in which case you should want to be inking it 90% of the time. What I think makes for a good D card is an inkable card that under some situations becomes good. And a 4/4 lore body, if I'm top decking this, at 6 ink or 5 ink, obviously, not terrible, right? I'd much rather that than 2/4, right? So that's where it's going to sit higher on the end of the D spectrum, but still is should be ink 98% of the time. All right. Oh, you get to cue in this one.
So this is Thunderbolt Wonder Dog, a 5-cost inkable 3/7 character with Puppy Shift 3. You may pay a 3 ink to play this on top of one of your puppy characters, and Bodyguard, and it has 2 lore. Altogether, not a bad card, beautiful art. It's an uncommon, so you're probably going to see this a bunch. I put it at B.
Yeah. Why do you have this at B?
There's there's 3 shift puppies, and they're pretty good. And the bodyguard coupled with 7 willpower is pretty fantastic. 3 strength isn't going to be enough to take out 4/4s or greater, but there are a bunch of 4/3s in this set as well, and this will take out 2 of those, or
Oh, you've
even
really
more
done your
three
research.
threes.
Yeah. Uh,
And like you were saying earlier, bodyguard, it is pretty good. Maybe Mittens is a C plus.
yeah, so I have this at A minus because I love Bodyguard so much. It's inkable, it's 7 willpower. I'm ignoring the puppy shift in that rating. I'm not planning on drafting any puppies. Uh, but just give me a 5-cost inkable 3/7 lore Bodyguard. I'm very, very happy. It's gonna take sometimes up to 3 challenges to take this down.
I,
Um, so
I can't wait to go back and check out the video to see what you say about Freckles.
I don't even remember what Freckles is. So what is Freckles?
Freckles is the puppy that lets you when a puppy is banished, it goes in your inkwell.
Oh, I think that's the only puppy that I've got in there, but obviously I'm not particularly one to shift onto that. Again, like shift for me has to be a situation where it's so advantageous to have this out now that it's worth the card disadvantage. Just a
Mm,
matter of getting it out early is not enough. It's got to
mm.
be impactful now for me to want to shift it. So I'm usually not looking for shift targets unless it's, something like I remember Jasmine from last set, right? Like obviously I want to shift that one out, but not so much on this. The only shift one
Doesn't
I,
really
I
have an
want to
on
do
play
is
ability.
hero. Give me that draw card on shift. Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Speaking of 5-cost uninkables, we've got Isabella Madrigal in the moment. 5-cost uninkable, 3/3 4 lore with another meaningless ability whenever one of your characters sings the song. Not meaningless. This character can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. There's a couple songs in here that I think are worth including, so it's not meaningless.
There are a bunch of cantrip songs and one that gets you lore.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No, it's
Uh,
just
s-
more a matter of like even when you've got 2 or 3 good songs, having to draft them and then having them in the moment where this is out, it's like one of those
mm.
things that's so niche that I'm like, I have to draft this assuming I'm not going to get that off. I'm going to try and build around it, but I got to assume that it's not going to work the way I want it to. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. What's your rating, sir?
Even if you can't protect her with her
Mhm.
own ability, she's still 4 lore, and that
Yeah.
puts her at an A. 3 willpower is enough to not get killed by any one damage that direct damage or removal that's in the game in this set. There are a couple of cards that will let you move damage. 3 is tough to do all in one shot. So this coming in ready is going to probably get you 4 lore in the next turn, and maybe more if you've got bodyguards or can sing a song. So
Yeah.
that's an A. That's an A for me.
So ironically, we've kind of switched our 2 5-cost angles because I have this at C plus, but again,
What?
there's no removal in this set to speak of. So you're going to gain 4 lore almost all of the time. And if you draft bodyguards, then you can bump her up, right? If you got bodyguards in your build, I would say I would want to have probably 3 to 4 bodyguards already, unless this is the very end of the draft, right? 3 to 4 bodyguards already to like rate her in the A category, and then be trying to get 1 or 2 more. 6 is around the number of cards that I feel like if you've got 6 of something in your deck, you can feel fairly certain that you'll probably draw 1 over the course of the game, maybe 2. So kind of 5 to 6 is where I'd want to be for her to be A tier. So if I've already got a few, or if I'm taking her like pick one, pack one, and I can then aggressively be drafting bodyguards. But let's assume for a moment that we don't have her, just kind of in a vacuum. For me, without that behind it, 5 cost uninkable for 4 lore on a 3/3 body, and yeah, you might fight me up to B minus, but C plus is where I've got her at right now.
I just did put you up to B minus.
You sure did, Steven. All right. Oh, you're getting all
This
the good ones.
is yeah, this is a really nice art. One of the first arts to be revealed, so could be an iconic art of the set. This is Lady Miss Park Avenue. She's a 5 cost uninkable 4/4 with 2 lore with shift 3 and the ability Something Wonderful. When you play this character, you may return up to 2 character cards with cost 2 or less, each from your discard to your hand.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen?
There's 48 2 drops in this set. So you're
Hmm.
probably going to have a higher ratio 2 drops than you might normally have. I don't have any tier 2 drops, but I've got, I think, quite a few B tier and a ton of C tier. So I think you probably aren't going to get that if you're playing her on curve on 5. But I think if you're dropping her turn 7 or 8 or something like that, like if the game goes longer, then yeah, you'll get that. And that's great value, right? Even 2 small characters that you can just drop both of them the following turn. It's pretty good. Again, I'm shifting this. And the 5
Yeah.
cost 4/4 2 lore is off of the vanilla curve, but not so substantially that I'm worried about it. I've got her at C plus. I think that it's
Wow.
can be a good value card, but isn't great.
I've got her at C as well. And after reading the card again, I was thinking of bumping her up, but you know, ultimately 4/4 for 5 uninkable is not that great.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah,
and and that ability, a lot has to be in the right place for that to happen. 2 character
yeah,
cards. I mean, even 1 character card, that's not bad, but to get the full effect, having 2 in your discard when
yeah,
you're ready to play this, and then you still have to, well, I mean, drawing them, that's pretty good. That's good. It's
yeah.
good enough. Still not good enough
Right.
to
So they
draft
don't put it
this
on top of
early.
your deck. You do draw them, right? Even getting 1 isn't half bad, right? If I knew I would consistently get 2, I'd probably rate this as like a B plus, A minus. But I'm assuming that I'm gonna be getting 1 more often than not. But this is less niche than like a song, right? Because even with 2 or 3 good songs in the set, maybe you draft 1 or 2 regularly. Whereas 2 drops, you're probably drafting 5, 6, 7 regularly, right? So I think that you're gonna see a 2 drop, right? Especially if you're mulliganing effectively. And then it's just a matter of do you see that second before you want to be dropping her, right? The uninkability and the fact that 5 drops are so stacked is what pushed her down a little bit for me. But yeah, again, I feel like
Yeah,
you could bump
me
her up a
too.
little bit as well, right? And it depends on where you're at with the draft, right? All these are in a vacuum, right? All these ratings for everyone at home. If you've drafted a lot of 2 drops, which be careful about drafting too many 2 drops, but if you have, her value definitely goes up, right? I've got quite a few notes on different cards. That I'm like, if this is the case, bump it up. But this one hopefully should be obvious when you would bump it up.
If you manage to draft a couple of the 1 drop ladies, then a shift 3 becomes a lot more viable. That
Yeah,
changes their value.
yeah. Not that I want to be drafting those ladies, but that's a good point.
Is this yours?
I'm so picky. Don't give me
Am
those
I reading this one?
ladies.
You're reading this one.
I'm reading this one, but that is all right. We don't have to be perfect on the interchange. The Family Madrigal, 5 cost inkable action song. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal up to 1 Madrigal character card and up to 1 song card and put them into your hand. Put the rest on top of your deck in any order. This should be brief.
Yeah, I did some homework on the set, but I didn't look up how many madrigals or songs there are because this is an F.
Yeah, not enough to warrant including this in your deck. Yes, this is one of those inkable Fs for me. Like, I don't even want you to include this at D because I don't want you to include this at ink because I don't want you to draft around trying to make this work. Just leave it away.
Don't
Leave it
try to make
aside.
this work in draft.
Yeah.
This is for constructed. This
Or
is for somebody
constructed
else
for
to
that matter,
draft.
unless it's like casual multiplayer constructed. All right,
Yeah.
sir. You go ahead with this one.
Cusco is an uninkable 5 cost, 1/4 with 2 lore, that has the ability don't you say a word once during your turn. Whenever a card is put into your inkwell, you may return chosen character, item, or location with cost 2 or less to their player's hand, then that player draws a card. What? Why?
Yeah.
When?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I put him at
Um,
D because he's got 2 lore.
so I've got him at C only because I think that, if I like tempo, so I should probably be straight up with this. This is kind of a me C, but a UF, which is to
Yeah.
say I really like tempo builds. So I would want to, if I got this later at the end of a pack, I would feel confident building and playing around it, but I shouldn't be. Let me retract and say that for most of you, this should be an F, which is to say it's D quality, but it's uninkable. So in that case, it should really be an F. But you know, I like tempo and I like the flexibility of rebuying my own characters to draw a card. I like card advantage. So under both routes there, I can take advantage of it, right? If I'm going tempo, I'm
Using
not
this
really worried
on
about drawing a
yourself.
card, right? Yeah,
Use it on yourself.
that's what I'm saying is the flexibility of I can use it on myself if I want to go
There
long
you go.
game and draw a card. I can use it on my opponent if I want to go tempo. So yeah,
Take your useless 2 cost that you played a few turns ago, put it up in your hand, draw a card, and then ink that
ink it.
2 cost next turn to do it
Yep.
all over again.
Yep.
Not
So
bad.
yeah, that's where for me it's a C because I definitely feel like I can, make this work. If you feel confident with it, then go nuts because it can be useful, right? But it's not. There's probably very few circumstances where it's going to be like busted or anything. So
If it were uninkable, I would move it up to a D.
if it was uninkable, I'd probably move it up to a, or if it was inkable, I'd probably move it up to a B because
Ah,
it's
that's what I
like,
meant to say.
yeah,
Let's cut that out.
no,
If
no,
it
we
was
include that.
inkable, I would put it up to a D.
Stephen, we've already caught like 5 of my gaffes so far today. One for you is okay. We're gonna do a
Yeah, there's
gaff
no
count for
editing.
me.
Who's got time
No,
to edit?
ain't nobody got
What's
time for
editing?
that. Chernobog Creature of Night. 5 cost, uninkable, 2/6, 1 lore. When when you play this character, each opponent chooses and exerts one of their ready characters they can't ready at the start of their next turn.
I'm just looking at the art for the first time. That's pretty awesome. He's
It
like
is.
he's about to launch a fireball across the screen and take out
Who knows what?
Zangief,
And you got the
and
little
he's got
skeletons in there.
yeah,
Got
yeah,
the
little
color
dragon
palette's
skeleton.
awesome. It's gonna be
That's pretty
hard to,
cool.
to make bad Chernobog art. Just throwing that out there.
That's true. What did I
What do you
put this
think of
at?
this 5 cost uninkable?
I put it at a D because what is this even ability about when you play this character? Oh, hey, okay.
It's
That
a decent
actually
enough
can.
ability if it wasn't a
It's
5 cost
not bad.
uninkable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This can save you a turn on the end of the game
It
where
can.
your opponent has put down a like a 3/3 4 lore character, and this was gonna let you take that character out because
Yep.
probably they're exerting everything else to race to get to that 16 lore so that this
Yep.
1/4 lore character can finish the game, and this will give you an out, but it's not much else.
No. If it
Five
was
costs is
you
a lot for
choosing,
2/6
I'd
1
feel
lore.
better about it. The fact that they get to choose, it's an F for me. Yeah, it's too random, and I can create what if scenarios for a lot of cards, but the average board state I think you're gonna find, even at the end of the game, this is gonna exert a 2/3/1 lore. And yeah, it's probably not gonna do enough to warrant the 5 cost uninkable when there's so many other great 5 drops and great 5 drop unankables, as you pointed out. So I think probably steer clear of this one, but it could be great, right? But a lot of cards can be. Oh, man, you
That
keep getting all the great ones. All right, go ahead.
could be great is the ultimate trap of draft.
Exactly.
Uh, this is Kronk laid back. He's a 5 cost uninkable 4/4 with 2 lore. A lot of those in the set. This guy has ward though, which
Yep.
probably doesn't mean anything, and
Nope.
has the ability. I'm loving this. If an effect would cause you to discard one or more cards, you don't discard.
Which I said, you get the awesome ones. I meant like art and flavor and all that. This is a terrible card. This is an F. But I
No, I don't
love.
know. This isn't a bad card.
This is a terrible
Oh,
card.
this is a B. Because this turns all of your common and uncommon filter cards into just cantrips.
Yes, that is true. You are not wrong, right?
So what you want to do is
I'll
save
give you
all
a
of
build
those
around B.
low-cost characters
Yeah.
until after turn 5. I don't know what you're going to do in the first 4 turns. Maybe don't put anything out on the board. And then you drop this guy, and then 1 cost, 1 cost, 2 cost, 1 cost,
Yeah.
2 cost, full hand, and oh, my opponent got to 20 lower. Okay, maybe this isn't as good as I think.
You're not
But
wrong, right? Like, it's not an effect an opponent controls, right? So that's a very valid point. Like, there's the Mulan, the 1 drop, which is like one of the better 1 drops available in this set anyway, which isn't saying much if you've watched that video. There's not a lot of great 1 drops. Ward is irrelevant because there's no removal pretty much. So it's a 5 cost uninkable 4/4/2 lore that absolutely you could combo it off. I will give you a build around like C plus, but it's an F.
I think you're I think in the middle is probably right. I'm way too high. I think you're low. But
Well, the
I
thing
got
is like
I
for me,
got
it'd have to
chef
be a C
eyes.
minus to not be an F, right? Because I don't do uninkable Ds, so it would have to be a C minus to not be an F.
He doesn't do unclickable D's, ladies and gentlemen.
Nope. Because if it's a D,
That's
it's
what
it's a card I don't want to play. So if it's uninkable, that means it's a card I don't want to play is trapped in my hand.
it's a heck of a tramp stamp.
I mean, I was just complaining about not getting great cards, but here we are. Sven, Keen-Eyed, Reindeer, 5 cost, Inkable, 2/6, 1 lore, Rush. When you play this character, chosen character gains -3 strength this turn. Take it away, Steven.
Pretty good card. That's a B. This is
Yeah.
taking somebody out.
Yep.
Well, I mean, somebody with 2 willpower. But this isn't going to be your only character on board because this is turn 5. So you're
Yeah.
going to be able to knock somebody's strength down to have little to no kickback, and then rushing with Sven and somebody else take out a character. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mark this as an A minus, but the more I think about how many great 5 drops are in this set, the more I think it's probably a B plus. But it's gonna have some really great moments, right? You're gonna have someone play this against you and just want to tear your hair out. Yeah, like you said, it itself is only taking out a smaller character, but that's okay. Or a character with only 2 willpower left, right? It's got enough willpower to survive. If it's like a 4/4 that's got 2 damage on it, right? It's got enough willpower to survive, and then you give something else -3 that your second character can take out. Obviously, you probably don't want to play this into an empty board of yours, but most of the time, you're going to be able to take amazing advantage of this. So somewhere around B plus territory.
The only problem with him is that the turn after he's played, he's just blank.
Yeah, right. He becomes a very small body after that, right? But so does Elsa, right? I mean, she's got evasive, so that's her benefit. But yeah, I really like Sven. I don't love it as much as some of the amazing 5 drops in here, but I really like Sven. All right. Go ahead, Steven.
This is Cheshire Cat. He's inkable, 5 cost. He's 4/3 with 2 lore and the ability when you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to chosen damaged character. Classic Emerald ability
Yeah.
that I put at C.
Yeah.
It's not
Tell me
bad.
why you think it's
It's
C.
not great.
Yep.
Uh, Body size for this cost. Um, uh, Conditional damage. I mean,
Yep.
it is removal. It's just conditional removal.
Yep.
So I pros cons. Not bad, not great.
Yeah.
Puts him in the middle at C.
Yep. I've got him at C plus. I feel like the more I reflect on how little removal in the set, I should probably bump him up a little bit, but I'll keep him at C plus here and just say, if you take him a little bit higher, that's perfectly fine. That ink ability is key, right? Because if I don't have any damaged opponents, I really don't want to play just out of 5-drop 4/3/2 lore, right? So the ink ability is key. Um, but when you can take advantage of that ability and be left with a 4/3/2 lore body, you're feeling really good about that in this set, especially. So it's not going to be great all the time, but it's going to be pretty solid often enough that I'll absolutely be looking to pick some of these up mid-pack.
Good question for you here.
Yeah,
Do you think he's made his forehead invisible, or do you think he's lifted his eyebrows off of his face?
I think he has lifted his eyebrows off of his face. I think there's too much space there to not be the case. The Cheshire Cat is a malleable being, my friend. All right. Oh, oh, look at
Oh,
this. Oh,
oh,
Queen of now it's coming back. It's all coming back around. Queen of Hearts, unpredictable bully, 5 cost uninkable, 2/6, 2 lore, shift 3 for what that's worth. Whenever another character is played, put a damage counter on them. What do you think of the Queen in draft?
I think it's a beautiful card.
It is a
But it's not
beautiful
that good in
card.
draft.
No.
It's not that good.
Yeah.
I put it at a C. The 2/6 body's not great at this cost,
Yeah.
and the ability is interesting and enabling for some green cards, but not a lot of green cards.
No.
A lot of other green cards that are in other sets,
Yeah.
which you are not drafting with
Nope.
this time around. So you don't want this early. You want this later.
Yeah, it's net for me. The 2/6, 2 lore is way too weak compared to the vanilla stat line, and that ability could be a net negative. Obviously, you can try and find ways to work around it to make it work to your advantage. But yeah, there's not really any way to manipulate or make this unilateral ability more one-sided in this set. So yeah, it's enough for me. Just stay away from it. I mean, obviously, draft it for how beautiful the art is, and there's nothing else better in the pack just to have it. But yeah, don't play it. All right. As opposed to the Queen, who do we got next?
We got Tweedledee and Tweedledum, 5 cost inkable for 2 lore. Whenever this character quests, you may return chosen damaged character to their player's hand.
I mean, this
Skibidi
might be a
bobbidi
reason to
boo.
play the Queen.
Might be.
I have this one. Oh, and I just missed it at B plus. Yeah.
I had this one
Uh,
at B also.
nice. Love that. Not too far off the vanilla stat line. And yes, you got it's not just busted on play or just always going to be good. But I mentioned I like tempo, and if someone gets an advantageous challenge on me, and I can send them packing, especially a bigger character, right? If you're doing this to a 1 or 2 drop, then that's not very good, right? But if you're doing this to
No.
a 4, 5, 6 drop, all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good about that tempo. So I like it.
Mhm. In a pinch, you can do it on your own character.
Yeah, to
Play that
reset it,
character again, reset
right?
it,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
use the on playability again.
Yes. Yep, especially if you've like shifted something out, now you want both back. Yeah, dig it.
Pretty skibidi.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably only gonna be able to do this once or twice, unless you've got a lot of bodyguards or something, but that can be enough, especially if you're doing it on opposing characters. You'll probably get a chance to do it more often. Yep. Uh, and it can return itself. So it can reset itself too.
Interesting.
Right?
Hmm.
Yep. Nice. All right. We're rocking and rolling. Return of Hercules. 5 cost inkable action. Each player may reveal a character card from their hand and play it for free.
Free. That's a good price. It's an F, isn't it?
Hey, there's a 10-drop Taka if you want to.
Yeah. You could draft them both.
Someone
Right?
is going to draft those 2 cards. You know someone's going to draft those 2 cards and try and make it work, and it will never work. It's
I
going
don't
to work
know. Like, what
one
if somebody
time,
gets,
and
yeah, but
yeah.
do they win the game, do you think?
I
If
mean,
they
at that point,
get
I'd just
that
be
big a
like,
character out
you
and there's
did
no
the
removal?
thing. Good game.
Somebody's going to draft that 7-cost removal. Take it out.
Yeah.
That'll
But I
be a good
mean, you
story.
got to wait a couple turns if that's the case. Uh, can we call this an F and move on?
Move on, please.
You're up, sir.
This is one of the Stabbington brothers. Which one? It's the 5-cost one. He's inkable, and he's a 4/4 with 1 lore. His ability, Crime of Opportunity, is when you play this character, chosen opponent loses 1 lore. A great ability almost all the time, except at the beginning of the game. But at the beginning of the game, you're not going to play this card. So, is he good?
I mean,
No.
I've got him at C minus. I don't think he's good enough, right? In a depth of so many great 5 drops. But I would play him, right? So C minus for me is the fringe of playable, right? If I'm getting
Yeah,
him, ninth pick, 10th pick, 11th pick, and I'm short on 5 drops for my curve, yeah, it's respectable.
I have Mitzi.
Yeah. And which brother, specifically the one with a patch?
Right, right, right. Oh, there you go.
Oh, speaking
Enjoy.
of good 5 drops, Mushu Majestic Dragon. 5 cost inkable, 4/4, 1 lore. 2 abilities, intimidating and awe-inspiring is the first one. Whenever one of your character's challenges, they gain resist +2 during that challenge. I would take that and full stop. But we got
Pretty good.
another. Guardian of Lost Souls. During your turn, whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore.
Also pretty good.
By
It'd be
turn
crazy to put those two
5,
things on one card.
oh my gosh. By turn 5, if you've kind of been working towards it, you could easily be in a situation like I might be holding back from questing if I have this plan for turn 5 and then just have like 3 characters on board that would normally then trade off with their 2, 3, and 4 drops, but instead they get resist +2 and I gain 2 little for each of them.
Yeah. The thing about Mushu is that he impacts the board immediately
Yes,
in
that
a
is a
big
great
way,
point.
in
Yeah,
2 different ways. And that's different from most of the other 5-cost cards that we're looking at here.
yeah,
Um, so that's why he's an A for me. Could be an
yeah.
S.
Yep, he's an A plus, which is as high as I go. Yeah, you could call him S tier. Um, Here's where I'm going to debate you once we get to the next card is or not the next card, but another card is which one is the best 5 drop. Uh,
Mm.
so we'll come back to that. But I apologize for you to read this one after that epic one.
Oh, this is Edgar Balthazar. He's an ambitious butler. It's 5-cost, inkable. This is 6/5 with 1 lore pip. And
Yeah.
he's card number 146.
There you go. That you know what? That was an important inclusion there.
I mean, as
Normally,
important as all the other stuff.
Normally, I'd be happy with this vanilla body, but when we got the 4/7 that we saw at the start of the video, I'd much rather that, as I mentioned. So I've got him at C.
I also have him at C.
Yep. Play him,
That's what I
but
thought.
don't get too excited. All right. Another epic card that is terrible. Hey, hey, expanded consciousness. 5 cost inkable, 1/5 2 lore with shift 3 if you want. Resist +1. When you play this character, put all cards from your hand into your inkwell face down and exerted. You're now in top deck mode. Congratulations.
Yeah, is that good? That's not good.
Unless you're going
Not good.
super aggro, for me, I wouldn't mind this if I had like one card that was stuck in my hand left, and I had some way to draw cards on board, which I don't know that there is in this set. I don't think there is. So no, it's bad. This is one of those inkable Fs, in that it is a trap. Run away from it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I put him at C because he's hard to kill, and
Yeah, the
that's
resist
going to
+1's
be
not
2 lore
nothing.
that might be the last 2, 4, 6 lore that you need. But you're right. It is very trappy.
Yeah,
You're going to try to do things that you shouldn't do when you
yeah,
have this in your hand or deck.
yeah. If much like I said about Pleakley in the last set, if this was a May ability, I'd be all for it.
Hmm.
Because there might be some situations again where you got like a 7 drop on Inkable you shouldn't have drafted in your hand, and you're like, excellent, I've got a use for it, and I've cleared out the rest of my hand. But
I'm glad this isn't a
yeah.
May ability, and I'm glad Pleakley isn't a May ability because, man, can you imagine how much longer games would be if you were constantly thinking, "Oh, I could do this or I could not. I could do this or I could not."
All right, sir. You get the next
The
one.
penalty slash benefit of those things is what makes the game spicy, in my
That's a
opinion.
fair point.
This is Lady Cluck. She's the protective confidant, and she's a 5 cost inkable 2/7 with 1 lore. She's got bodyguard and ward. A good
Yeah.
combo.
I mean, in
So I know that
constructed.
it is.
Sorry, go ahead.
I know that you love bodyguard, but this is only 2 power,
Yeah.
so I think you're going to put this at a C. And what I did is put it at a C.
Yeah. So I think I've got a C plus, just because I like the 7 willpower bodyguard. But you compare this to Thunderbolt, right?
Yeah,
It's
three
just like
seven.
night 3/7 2 lore.
Oh
It's
yeah,
night and
yeah,
day. So yeah, the 1 lore, the 2 power ward is almost meaningless and especially in this set in
yeah.
draft. So yeah, it's still a bodyguard. If you're starved for bodyguards, it will probably go up in value. If you've got Isabella, it probably goes up in value, but there's so many better bodyguards in this set.
There's a lot of bodyguards in this set.
Yep.
So this
Uh
is Jasmine.
oh yeah,
She's
this
an
is this
inspired
me? Yeah, you
researcher.
go ahead. Thanks. I'm like,
She's
I'm
5 cost
lost.
uninkable 3/5 2 lore with the ability extra assistance. Whenever this character quests, if you have no cards in your hand, like for example, if you just played Hey Hey, draw a card for each ally character you have in play.
You know what? Can we go back to Hey Hey? Is he an ally? This might be the way. He is in fact an ally. So you start with Jasmine, and then
Uh-huh.
you play Hey Hey,
And then
and
you
then you
pick up
quest
some
with
Hey
Jasmine.
Heys. Yeah, not
Yeah.
bad.
Um,
Do you know how many allies there are in the set?
how many are there in this set?
46.
There's 46. All
Yeah.
right, I might have to bump Jasmine up from an F then.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I think you should.
yeah, okay.
I, I've got Jasmine at an A
I mean,
because this is
yeah,
card draw. And this is,
could be like 3 card draw if you've really done
it,
well with it.
it could be
Yeah.
more than one turn of card draw.
Okay. Yeah, this
Uh,
is definitely
and
one
that's
you
you
might
got to
sell
bring
me
her
on.
off of an F.
So I think this is really gonna. This is like I tend not to give the build around label too much, but this is definitely like a build around A. Then like it can be extremely powerful if you drafted good allies. Don't draft an ally for the sake of making Jasmine work if it's a bad
Yes.
card.
Mhm.
But if you're drafting good allies, yeah. And if you've drafted good allies and you've drafted 1 or 2 Jasmines, then I give you permission to, at the end of pack 4, to draft a Hey Hey.
Almost half the characters in the set are allies.
Yeah. I feel like I tried to subconsciously steal Baymax from you, so I'm going to let you go again, Steven, just so
Oh,
you get Baymax.
well, thank you very much. This is Baymax, the upgraded robot. He's a 5 cost inkable, 3/5 with 1 lore. He's got support, and when you play this character, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Floodborn character card and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. It is the aerial ability for Floodborn characters. Now, how many Floodborn characters do you think there are? I didn't look this up.
I didn't either. I mean, we can look it up like right now, but let's
I don't know if
see.
it'll make a difference. I mean, it didn't make a difference to me when I was ranking him a C.
Yeah, no, I have him at C as well, but it should probably be C minus. A 3/5 support's not nothing. Why did I just look up Baymax? So specifically, let's filter to set Archasia's Island, and let's go with Floodborn. All right, so let's count good Floodborns that we would
20?
actually draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-ish. I'm not really looking that hard, so let's say 9-ish. And how many of them are common and uncommon? 1, 2, 3, 3. So yeah, not really gonna
Yeah.
have that many Floodborns.
Nope.
So yeah, C minus, C, somewhere around there.
I mean, the
Filler.
support is the only thing that keeps him off of DF.
Yeah. Gosh, I love the enchanted art on this. I'm just gonna leave it on the enchanted. All
Yeah,
is found. 5 cost inkable action. Song, rather. Put up to 2 cards from your discard into your inkwell face down and exerted.
fantastic, fantastic F.
So this is gonna surprise potentially a lot of people.
No,
I have this at C plus.
no,
Bear with me.
what?
Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. So this is where you'll probably have seen me talk about this already on videos, but we're actually recording this. This is the first, no, I record my top hits video. This is the first one after that. So I don't know what I've said yet. But chances are, what I've said multiple times is that this looks like a slow set to me. There's like 2 or 3 1 drops that I'm happy drafting. There's a lot of 2 drops, but nothing above like a midish B. I think there might be 1 or 2 B pluses in there. I anticipate this is going to be a slow set, and specifically, I love the fact that this is a song that takes cards from your discard to bump up to my goodness, ramp. Thank you, Heath. Spit out the words. So I like that. I like that it's inkable. So if I need to get rid of it, it's not useful, I can. And I'm a greedy boy. There's 5 7-drop inkable evasives in this set that I'm really tempted to play this
Mm.
into. Yeah. Um, I'm
Somebody looks
tempted.
higher up the cost chart.
Again, I feel like I should probably be putting this as an F for all of you, but I'm greedy. So if you're thinking of going big, this becomes really valuable. Obviously, if you're going more aggressive, this is hot garbage. So draft
What he was
accordingly.
telling you is draft those big 7 cost
And
guys,
then
hold
blame
them in your
Heath.
hand, and then on turn 5, do nothing.
But it's a song though, so you can sing it and
Oh,
then still affect the board, right?
yeah, take your
Um,
5 cost guy that you played on turn 5, wait till turn 6, and then do nothing with that 5 cost guy.
yes.
I mean, that's not bad for some of these guys that turn into nothing on their next turn, like Sven.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
Sven, sing all is found, and then you drop a 7 cost guy. That is
the fact that it's
gonna happen.
inkable and those 5 7-drop evasives that are really powerful are inkable as well. It makes me really tempted to make them work. All right, you got the next one, sir.
This is TikTok, Relentless Crocodile, 5 cost inkable, 5/6 with 1 lore, and the ability looking for lunch. During your turn, this character gains evasive while a pirate character is in play. Doesn't
Specifically,
have
you
to
can
be
have the
on your
pirate.
board.
Yeah, their board, their board. I don't know how many pirates. I don't know if you looked that up or not, but
Not that many.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not the pirate set.
it's not
It's the
as right.
set
See,
after the pirate set.
yeah, this would have been great in the last set.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, not good enough, right?
No, so I got him at a C.
Yeah, C minus. It's still a decent body. It's not bad, right?
Yep,
6'5", 5'6", interchangeable. So just treat him as a vanilla and draft him accordingly, right? And then every once
yep,
in a blue moon, it might be relevant, its ability.
yep.
All right, so here's the competition for
Mm,
Mushu for best 5-drop in the set.
mm.
Bagheera, Guardian Jaguar, 5 cost, inkable, 4/3, 2 lore with bodyguard. And during an opponent's turn, when this character is banished, deal 2 damage to each opposing character.
Yeah, pretty strong. Pretty strong.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Can't be removed really.
Yep.
Like with removal, so you're gonna have to lose one of your big guys because you can't. It's they're gonna have to have 7 willpower to survive taking out Bagheera, which
Yep.
more power to Thunderbolt. But that's a lot of damage to your opponent's board.
Yep.
Yeah,
So the
it's gonna
only
really
thing,
change their decision making.
yeah, that's a great point because for me, the only thing that really doesn't make this A plus, and I think it is if you're not threatening your opponent, right? If they can afford to ignore this, because it has to
Mm.
be on their turn. If they can afford to ignore this, then you've kind of mitigated the threat. mitigate the damage, right? Because then it's just a 4-3-2 lore. Because if they're ignoring it, the bodyguard doesn't matter really either, right? So you got to be pressuring them such that they need to get through your bodyguard to your other characters, right? So this is like the perfect combination with Isabella. Um, and I feel very confident that, especially with the number of amazing 4-drops in the set, that you can make this threatening enough, especially with the two lore body, that they're going to have to deal with it and they're going to be decimated when they do.
This breaks a stalemate
Yep.
because if both sides are too afraid to turn sideways, then suddenly this hits the board and you start turning your guy sideways.
Yeah.
Mushu also breaks a stalemate. As soon as he hits the board, you're
Yeah.
turning your guy sideways and gaining lore,
Well, but
and
not if
taking
it's
out
a
your opponents.
stalemate, though, because if you're staring at each other, they haven't exerted their characters, and you really want to have exerted characters for Mushu to work.
That's a good point.
Because it's only
Wow.
during when you challenge them that they gain the resist +2.
I think that makes Bagheera better.
Maybe, but I mean, obviously, if you're chasing, Mushu is so much better, right? If you're
Mm,
behind, Mushu is
yeah.
better. If you're ahead or there's a stalemate, Bagheera is better. So I don't think you can say that there's a better one. I think my instincts are that Mushu is better. But with so little uh, removal in the set, and with assuming this isn't your last pick, which it's not going to be because it's a legendary. So the worst case scenario, this is going to be the first pick of your last pack. You just start drafting more aggressively immediately. Right?
Mm.
Like, yeah. I think Mushu is overall going to be better most of the time, but Bagheera is going to have a huge impact. So they're both A pluses. But I don't think Bagheera is going to be worth a ton after like the first week. So I think if I'm
Do you think
drafting to
Mushu is going to
win,
be worth more though?
no, what I'm saying is if I think I'm drafting to win, I think I'm
Oh,
picking
okay.
Mushu over Bagheera in the same pack, right?
Yeah.
So
I think Mushu might be worth more than Bagheera.
you think, yeah, you know what? It might actually,
Yeah. It'll be
even though it's a
close.
rare. Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All right, last one. Take us home, sir.
This is our last one. Oh man. Well, this is an F.
I mean,
Uh, except for
Katie might be
Katie.
listening. I was gonna say,
Yes. Yes,
watch
it's
it,
an
watch
A.
your tone.
For Katie, it's an A. It's a 5 cost uninkable A. It's an action, not a song, and your characters can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. That
Yeah,
is a tough thing to want to do on turn 5 is to say you can't you can't take my guys out next turn.
yeah,
I mean, this could help you win the game at some point, but it's not worth hanging on to in your hand. It
yeah,
would be so much better if you had an inkable card or a character or something that helps you win the game that has lore on it. Not this. Sorry, Katie.
yeah,
It's beautiful. It's
yeah.
beautiful, but it is sorry, Katie, an F. Now that's an F plus.
Right.
That's an
So
F.
yes, it should be an F most of the time. The one thing that I'll say is, um, if you draft a more aggressive build, and especially if you're drafting some of those Mulans that allow you to filter cards, if this does get stuck or isn't worthwhile for you, especially if you've got like a big ear or something like that, not that they combine well, but I'm saying like they both benefit from aggressive builds. Then the potential for this to be really impactful in a set without removal is massive, where challenging is the removal. But it's one of those that's going to be so bad 75-80% of the time and is uninkable. So you just can't include this in your deck. You can't draft this unless you really aggressively build around it. And then it's probably only like a C plus because even with an aggressive build, you want to be playing characters. You don't necessarily want to be playing this. So those
You
of
might
you that
only
are
have
creative
one
around there,
character
yeah,
that can't be challenged until the start of your next turn. You might have
exactly.
two one lore characters that can't be challenged, and then you play this and you get your two lore, and then
Yep.
great.
So yeah, you creative builders out there, you might be able to make something work with this, but for 95% of us, this should be enough. That's all she wrote. That's it. But there's some bangers in here, right? We got Bagheera, we've got obviously Hey Hey, Jasmine, you've turned me around on, absolutely. If you're drafting great allies, Mushu. I really like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I like Sven. Lady and Isabella are
Thunderbolt.
both solid. Thunderbolt is fantastic.
An
Mickey's pretty
uncommon. Let me
solid.
have four.
Yeah, you're. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is definitely the card that you're going to see most, the best card that you're going to see most often, right? Mushu, you might be able to see first pick from time to time because it's a rare. Bagheera, you're probably never going to draft unless you're drafting like 5 or 6 times this set, and even then, probably not. Thunderbolt's going to be the best card at 5 drop that you're going to see often enough to be like, I'm first picking this often. Yeah.
A good rule of thumb, if you're drafting for the first time this set, is that the dual ink cards are going to be, in general, uh, undercosted for the performance
Yeah.
because in constructed they're going to have to go in a specific deck. They're not going to be able
Hmm.
to combine with other things, and in general the dual ink is a negative, it's a drawback, but
Yeah.
not the case in here. So have a look at those dual ink cards
Yeah.
and like see the power that you got there.
Yeah, I think that's probably like 50-50 at this ink drop, but if you watch our four
Yeah,
cost video, if you've already watched it, almost all the four cost dual links are busted. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point. I almost want to clip that and put it at the start of the video because legitimately, if you're kind of just getting into this or not really that confident, start with looking at those dual links because chances are there's some great ones in there. Love it. Stephen, thank you again so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure, and I hope we can make this a regular thing because I love to laugh with you, sir.
Me too. Thank you. I love to make you laugh, and I love laughing with you as well. And yeah, let's probably dual links are going to stick around. That's one of the reasons that it's really beneficial to look at it from an ink drop perspective. But even if they go away, I think this might be what you want to do going forward. You
Yep.
know?
No, I definitely I don't know if they'll do it every set, but I think they'll come back to it as well because I think it leads to some interesting design options, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
awesome. Thank you all very much for showing up. Hope you've liked it so far. We've got one more for you. We've got our 6+ drops tomorrow, so check it out and see you again next time.